I find that I spend too much time and still in day 1 lesson 2, so I will move it quickly for upcoming items. So in this session we will talk about the queuing IDM object. This is an overview of the IDM REST interface. I believe every one of you understand the concept of RESTful. They are just following the standard RESTful API method for getting different information. For example, using the get method for getting object from IDM. I don't spend much time on here because I believe everyone have this basic knowledge. And this line is explaining what kind of use case we will use the IDM REST as an interface for queuing those IDM objects. For example, maybe we want to query some configuration for the synchronized mapping connectors, or we have some we want to trigger some action for reconciliation, and maybe you have some programming script you want to process. Actually, every action you want to process in the admin UI, you also can process it by the REST API, because they are actually using both of them are using the REST API to complete. In this session, it is explaining what kind of tools you can use for querying IDM REST API. You can use CURL, REST API Explorer, and the Postman I just demoed in previous video. And this is just a sample about how do we do a CURL request. An IDM API Explorer example. If you log into the admin UI, you could click the right corner here to check the API Explorer, and then it will show something like a swagger to let you take a look at all the API. Actually, this information is same as the one I showed you in the Postman collection. And I think I also showed you before about this Postman interface. And this is the response body, and here most of the API response, it will include the ID and underscore REV about which is the revision number of the object. So you can take it looks first because it will show in every API response. And this is how we get a managed user example. Okay, so now we will jump into the lesson 3, managing relationship. How to create and manage relationship between managed object. We are going to first examine existing relationship in some of default objects. The objective of this lesson is describe the purposes of relationship, learn how to create and query object relationship using the REST API, understand how that those relationships are actually stored internally in JSON object that have a reference to each other. We will describe how you can actually use a dashboard and a widget in one of the dashboard to visualize relationship in Identity Manager. You will look at actually related properties in a managed object that has a relationship type, so we can see what makes up the properties of a relationship, and it helps to create a relationship between different objects. So you will see how they actually configure. And in the lab, we will actually create two relationships. One relationship where a user is related with itself as the user managed object, and one where the user related to the device. Traditionally, hierarchy is a way we form relationship, in particular in organizations. So like an organization hierarchy, you have got a manager has many reporters, or a user belongs to one department. If it does a traditional hierarchy kind of relationship, or you may have a user located in particular country, and a department is located could be located in one country, or maybe many countries could be spread out over one country. Like, for example, I work in a organization group in a global company that's actually geographically spread out around the world. I have got colleagues that work in England. I've got colleagues work in Australia. So we are all over the world. So that would be like a department can have a many-to-many relationship with countries. Relationship. Like an employee has multiple manager as a many-to-many relationship. There are certain situations where you have got a dotted line reporting to different managers. Depending on what project you are working on, or in some organization, people are assigned a HR manager as well as their direct line manager. So they got those like different reporting lines. In our example, a live streaming environment, the use case is based on subscription model. So if you got a owner of a like a Netflix subscription, they have subscribers, and basically the Netflix company wants to allow a subscriber to allow family members to share their subscription. So if the subscriber just got a standard subscription, the owners are allowed to invite family to share that subscription. So a family member can only be associated with one owner or one other subscriber who is the owner of a subscription. So that would be a many-to-one kind of relationship where the owner is only one owner, but it could have many family members. So that there is a premium subscriber. So if you have got the owner who has a premium subscription, then the Netflix wants to extend it to allow a friend to share the subscription rather than just a family members. In another example, Spotify, when you add members to your subscription, they want them to be family members only, not friends. So usually when the family member or when you add somebody to your Spotify subscription, if you got a family subscription, then that's one of the subscriber models they have. The members who you sign up has to live at the same address, and they have got to specify the same address when they sign up. So like there is those kind of relationship you can form, and you need to model that and see how we implement that sort of restriction in those sort of circumstances. Type of relationship. Relationship can be between the same managed object, a user to a user. An example which is built into default is the managers to reports relationship. Let me show you that one. Okay, so we go to the managed object. Yeah, so here we go to the user object. Oh, I have the re-authentication again. It's because my session expired. And we will find the manager. Manager property already there, and it is sort of a type relationship, and we look at the relationship itself. So you can see that the user has one manager, so this represents the manager, but this is the reportees. A manager has many reports. The question is what is the property that is holding the reportee, the opposite side of this relationship. In fact, it is not visible in this model, although when you set up the relationship, you have to specify, or you can create the second related object properties. There is actually, let me go back. There's actually another properties called report. Here you could see also is a relationship type. If we go inside, so this is another side of the relationship, which also has a configuration of the manager has many reporters, and a user who is reporter can only have one manager. So it is a many-to-one relationship. So this is another side of the relationship. Another type of property, there is a relationship between user and a different object, is the role property. And in here, So a role property has a relationship where the user can have many roles and the role can have many members. So if we go to the manage the object, now we switch to the roles. Member, you can see the member in here. If we go inside, member is like the reference to the user object. This is the reverse relationship with the members, where a role has many members, which is a user object, or a user has many, could potentially have many roles. So it is a relationship between two different objects. So back to this line, so that's how we make the relationship between user, role, assignment, and organization. And you could also make the relationship between the user and some custom object, like the device. So this is the IDM default relationship. So you could see the readable title and the relationship between the user and roles, like that. And it explained how do we update the manager to the direct report and the direct report to the manager. And I think this one I already showed before. And this part is about how to searching and display the property. Let me show you in the environment. So back to the environment. After we set up the relationship, actually we could in the manage user, and then if we go inside one of them, we can update the manager in here by searching the manager name in this session. And then maybe I assign this one to it. So you could see I assigned the manager to this person. And remember to click save. Then it will update successfully. If we are making a hierarchy structure, we could click on the direct report and select a manager. Like for example, the post user, this one, and edit. So this is how we do the hierarchy architecture by updating in the admin UI. Let's talk about visualization of relationship, which is done in the admin UI. The admin UI has a few things called widget, which you can add to the dashboard. There are different types of widget you can make use of. They are reporting, giving you some statistics in forms of graphics and numbers. And there are a few utility widgets that allow you to embed external content and information about relationship. This is an example of a graph that you can see which show you the entire relationship diagram between different types of objects. Now I go back to the dashboard. I can add a widget in the right corner here. So you could see in the drop down box we have different reporting in here, and as I said, you can see the system health, CPU usage, and utilities has some other options. For now, we can add a managed object in here. So let me just type manage the object relationship diagram. Okay, if we click the add button, so you could see the diagram is showing in the dashboard. So every time you log in to the ForgeRock, you could see it from here, or you can put it, if you want, you can put in here as well. Depends on maybe your requirements. We want to see what kind of information displayed in the dashboard. So back to the slide. So we also have another diagram for showing the relationship per objects. So this one is another view between the roles members and the subscribers. This is another diagram you can add to the dashboard. The schema configuration object. Okay, so let's go back to the Postman collection. Let me open the Postman. And I want to look at the managed object specifically. So I will type config object, which is a get method, and managed send. Okay, so we can see that that is a user managed object, and that's the schema. That's the schema. IDM store as part of the configuration. The description of the property. Is it a viewable? Is it searchable? And any policy that has been set for a given property. For all properties, including the relationships, is also showing it here. So for all the properties include the relationship properties. So if we search the row, yep. So you could see the rows. You can also find the relationship inside the schema. If we look at the reports relationship, basically the resource collection says we also display all of the detail about the reportee's detail, username, given name, and their last name. So this is how the report key would be configured in the configuration. For this manager information, in the context of the user who has a manager, so we display the manager's username, given name, and surname and last name. Relationships basically can have a one-to-many or one-to-one type of relationship. Has one is actually stored as a relationship data type. Has many is an array object that stores its entries or items typed as relationships. So let's look at how we actually configure a relationship by creating actual new relationship rather than modifying the existing ones. In this example, you can imagine we are a ForgeRock entertainment company, which called FEC. You can think it is like a Netflix company for providing some streaming service. We have got subscribers who are owners of an account with the streaming company. The owners are allowed to share this subscription with family members or friends. So we want to be able to create a relationship with a subscribers who is a user managed object with another user managed object who would be either a family member or a friend. So we want to create a relationship between owners and their families or friends, so we can track who share a subscription with an owner. So owners should be able to create the related account, but family and friends can only be related to one owners in the initial implementation. But later there will be an ability for for family and friends to apply for relationships with another owners. So by definition here, we really start off creating a one-to-many account from the perspective of the owner. So owners can have many families member or friends that they share their subscription with. But the family and friends can only have a subscription shared by one owner or be part of one owner's shared subscription. So when we look at it from the relationship property perspective on the owner's account, we will create a property called the subscription members. So we can track who are the family or friends we are adding to share our account with. And the owner can have multiple subscription members. So this is the data model or data design that we are going through. On the families or friends account, basically we would have a property for the reverse relationship. So we were to look at a family friends, we want to know whose account they share, if any. We would create a property called main subscription reference, and they can only be one reference to begin with, which may be extended later. So the step to create those property and build and configure the relationship. On this line, you have to create one relationship property on the user managed object. Update the relationship configuration option in the property to be referencing the related resource, which will happen to be a user object as well. And then add the related resource, update the relationship configuration from the related resource, then configure the reverse relationship, then verify and update the reverse relationship property. At the end, we have to test the relationship in admin UI by actually creating entries in the various user account. Create one relationship. You have already seen how to add a property into any managed object. Just click add properties or go to the first free entry at the bottom of the page and enter a new property name, give a relationship type, and obviously give it a nice label as well or a description. Then when you click edit the property, so, you click the little pencil icon here, then you can modify the relationship and set whatever it is a one-to-one or has one or has many kind of relationship. In this case, it will be a has many relationship. So let me just do this two step in my admin UI. I will quickly go back to my managed object. So this is the user object, and the subscription member I will already added. So this one, subscription member, and click the little pencil, and you could see the relationship is already set. User has many subscription members, and user has only one main subscriber member reference in here. This is the reverse one I just mentioned. So this one has been set. So in here you could see the little pencil. If we click here, you could edit the resource. In this case, I already added the username, given name, and the last name is showing this how to display the properties. So this part is also completed. So the last step is verify and update the reverse relationship property. We can go back to the properties tab and then verify the reverse relationship, which is the main subscribers. And we click the little pencil here, and then we can see the reverse relationships is showing now. And also we can check it by the managed user, and then click one of the user, and then click the subscription members in here. When we click the add subscription member, and you will see the information we just add, the resource about the username, first name, last name is following what we just added in the properties. So it is working. Yeah. So now I just add a few members in here. As the so if I go into this one, I could see the relationship main subscription reference. So this part is also working. We could also verify it by creating a new dashboard. Let's see here. Verify relationship dashboard, and you will see a new one, verify relationship dashboard, and we could add a new widget in here. And inside the widget, we want to see the username, different name, and this SN, and can add. And I remember we just add a person called S Esther, and if we click this one, we could see the relationship between this user is a main subscriber's reference. If we do it in another way, KEVINA, yes. Click here. You could see the relationship between this user and the subscription member. And this is how we use the graph to represent the relationship. So this is just another way for verify the relationship has been set.